the talk in itself is such a powerful tool. One of the things you need to understand about talking itself is that it reveals the inside to the outside. And that doesn't only mean that you can reveal yourself to others, but also that you can reveal yourself to yourself. And so that a lot of our thoughts are true and beautiful and powerful and harmonic. And on the other side, a lot of our parts are depressive and stupid and wrong and harmful. As a human being, I feel like I belong to the pure side, and all of that darkness itself is the only thing that I need to repair. It's something I can work on and that I can get better at. And so talking itself reveals to me that part. Talking itself, and I just simply allow myself to talk without judging it, without trying to say something, but simply letting inside express itself. And it takes some time to get better at it. It's like a muscle. But once you do it, you have this connection to yourself, and it makes a lot of sense, because we tend to act in life as if we are just one identity, one surface level of human being, but we have so much in the subconscious, in the sub personalities that exists and that expresses itself only in subconscious ways. And so I think part of it is giving much more aware tools for that subconscious part to express itself. So it doesn't have to be so vague. It doesn't have to be so not clear in its message and only giving a direction. If you have some kind of a nightmare that goes on and on and on, that's probably subconscious talking to you. That if you have this point in life that you get back to all the time, in your behavior, in your thinking, in your actions, in your results, and so on, partly that is part of the inner you trying to direct you in a certain way. That's part of why you're there. There is no reason for your mind to make you feel a certain way over and over and over again, unless you need to do something about it. It's a good directioner, a pointer. It's a good pointer. And I think talking is simply the power of talk that only humans have in such a particular expressive way. It's such a direct tool, and it's so profound in our modern days because we have so many languages. We have so many words, we have so many basically a word is a restriction for an idea. So when I say a table, you only think of a table. You don't think of a chair, you don't think of a bird, you simply think of a table. So a table, the word table itself is like the fences around the idea of a table, something like that. And so when you talk, you simply make things more clear, because you give certain feelings, certain outcomes, certain behaviors, certain whatever it is, you give them specific fences, you give them definitions that are very particular. And so you make that whatever vague experience is life, or overwhelming experience is life, you give that reality by making it very particular, because you give it I don't know how to say that. Anyway, so talking itself is a very powerful tool, and talking itself as freely is a very powerful tool, but also as willingly. And so that the fact that we can talk the inside to the outside is not only by revealing its emotions and so on, but it's also in directing the energy that you are, the whole of the energy that you are, the existence itself, your consciousness. You're something inside this reality. And talking willingly is saying that that energy is going that direction. And so you make your life much more directed by you, if that makes sense. You become more active in more parts of your life because you are able to talk about them. And when you talk about them, that means you are more aware of them. More of your awareness exists in those domains. And when you talk, you make that existence clear and particular, which is a very good tool. So I recommend talking to someone. This is why therapy is so helpful, because it's basically making your whatever vague, harmful, overwhelming experience much more clear. And when it's clear, you have control over it in some way, and you can act, and you can go on in life. So that's very important. But also talk to yourself, just not even to yourself, like in a very loving and supportive way. You can talk to God, and pray for things. And that's very powerful in itself. And we can talk about the idea of God maybe later, but you can do that also willingly. You can say, this is what I want in life. And you can start with, I want to live. I think this is the main will that has to be in the center of your identity and your experience. And that is, I want to live. And the rest of life is only how we want to experience life. Or some kind of other question you can build from that. But the first will have to be, I want to live. When your mind is asking you in the morning what I want to do, say, I want to live. Because this is a blessed ground for growth. It's a blessed ground for positive activity. It's a blessed ground for healing from not positive activity, for negative activity. Because you come to this reality with the will to participate in it. And so that's a much more powerful approach. That's a much powerful stance when it comes to meaning with life. So yeah, do that. And I've been doing that lately in the past, I think month or two, much more willingly. And I've seen a lot of good from it. I've seen a lot of progress. I've seen a lot of clearness. And it made my goals much more particular, much more down to earth, much more achievable. And it made my journey much more consistent, because I was a part of it. I wasn't not only just pushing some parts, I was aware of much more of the parts. So yeah.